Hello, boys and girls. Welcome, shalom. I'd like to summarize the last lesson. למדנו שהיו יהודים בארץ ישראל בארבע ערים. היו יהודים בירושלים, בחברון, בטבריה ובצפת. These were the four holy cities, and there were relatively few Jews who lived in Israel. These came there for the Chalukah. They studied Torah and Talmud in the yeshivot, and they were given money for that, and that's what they lived from. So the money was given out in Hebrew to distribute as lechalek. It was called Chalukah. Now, all of a sudden, 1882 and onwards, Jews are coming from Russia because of the anti-Semitism that was brought about by the murder of the Tsar, by the assassination of the Tsar. And as the anti-Semitism was growing and there were pogroms, in 1882, all of a sudden there was a group of students, Jewish students, most of them from wealthy family, most of them in the middle of their studies, simply gave up their career to come to live and create homes in Eretz Israel. So this first group was called Beit Yaakov Lechu Venelcha, the house of Jacob or Israel. Let us go forward and let us go on. And they came to establish themselves in Eretz Israel. So it was quite clear what they were looking to do. They were borrowing a pasuk, a verse, from a book in the Bible called Yeshayahu, and they called Beit Yaakov Lechu Venelcha. If we look at the first letters, Beit, Yud, Lamed, Vav, and they were called Bilu or Biluim. And they came to live there. There were very few. There were only 14 of them, 13 guys and one single girl. And they came to make new homes in Eretz Israel. They came to live as Jews in their land. And here you have a picture of some of the group as they're getting established in Eretz Israel. That was the first group that came. They came and they were called Chovevei Tzion, the lovers of Zion, and those were the Jews who left Russia. But there was nothing in Israel. There was tremendous hardship. There was no work, there was no food, there was no water, there was a very, very hot sun. There was disease called malaria, and before they had antibiotics, people got very high temperature, fever from it, and some people died. These Chovevei Tzion groups built the first moshavot, the first settlements. Rishon LeZion, Rosh Pina, Zichron Yaakov, Yesod HaMa'ala, Petach Tikva. All sorts of new settlements were built, but they didn't have enough money to live. So there was the same guy whom Herzl approached for money for his Zionist project, Rothschild Beivrit. He offered to help the new settlers and teach them how to make money. But he brought with him the French way because he was from France, and he brought with him his people who taught these Russian new immigrants how to live like Frenchmen. So they were planting grapes, and they were learning French, and they were teaching their children French. It was very hard for them. So whereas Rothschild was helping these settlers in terms of making sure they have a living, he really took any kind of independence and autonomy away from them, and they looked down upon them. They looked down upon them as they're less able, and they tried to help them, but they made it very difficult for them. They lost any kind of autonomy of independence, and They had to do exactly like Rothschild's people told them how to do. So they had to do their farm experiments, and all these experts came from France, Mumchim Tzarfatim, French experts, and they assumed that these Jews from Russia don't know anything, and they made them do the way they wanted. So soon, these Russian immigrants lacked initiative, lost initiative. They didn't want to do anything because they knew that they're going to get their salaries. There were a lot of people from Rothschild who came, and for 17 years, he paid for all these early Jews to come to live in Eretz Israel. They had great difficulty. They had no idea about farming. They had no idea about the weather conditions and the difficult sun. They had no idea how to deal with the various diseases that took place in Israel, in the land of Israel, in Palestine. They had no idea how to deal with water. They had no idea how to deal with security against the Arabs. And the Chovevei Tzion movement did not succeed in bringing money from Jews outside of Israel to them. Also, these young kids missed their families who were left in Russia. So those first experiments were very difficult. Then these young guys who came in, they were hotshots, and they came, we're working the land, we're independent. And look at the old Yishuv, HaYishuv HaYashan. They only knew how to collect money that was given to them. So they were ridiculing the old Yishuv. The old Yishuv and the new Yishuv. The old Yishuv were the people who were dependent on handouts. The new Yishuv, they were the ones who were trying to work the land and make a connection with the land. Those early people that came were called the first Aliyah. They weren't known as the first Aliyah at the time, but as time went on, they were known as the first Aliyah. And they established themselves in Israel, and soon there was conflict between them and what was known as the second Aliyah. The first Aliyah came to make a living, to make better life for themselves, but the second Aliyah came to have Jewish guards, Jewish language, Jewish villages, Jewish farmers, Jewish workers, and all these brought them into conflict with the Arabs. The Jews were proud of the fact that they are becoming their own bosses. The Arabs felt like they were getting displaced. So the conflict between the Arabs and the Jews began already here, around the time of the first and the second Aliyah, around 1890. I'm switching gears on you. I'm sending you a song about this Aliyot movements who were proud of the fact that they did the work themselves. And the song that I'm going to send you, I will describe in a second video. So please watch for the second video as well. See you in class. Have a nice day.